My name is Patrina Weiner. I'm 29 years old, and if I've learned anything recently, it's how fast someone can tear your world apart with a single sentence. For almost 2 years, I genuinely believed my boyfriend Brian and I were building something steady and real. We lived separately but practically existed in each other's spaces, his apartment on weekdays, mine on weekends. We made breakfast together, debated movies at midnight, planned future trips, talked about work frustrations. It felt safe. It felt like us. But for months, Brian kept asking the same thing. When am I finally going to meet your parents? He said it lightly like a joke, but there was weight behind it every time. I kept putting it off. Not because I was ashamed, never that, but because I knew he wouldn't understand them. My parents are retired, simple people. They live in the same modest 3-bedroom house they've had since before I was born. They wear old clothes, drive an aging sedan, grow vegetables in the backyard, and think eating out more than once a month is borderline wasteful. To anyone looking from the outside, they appear to barely get by. But they're not poor. They're millionaires who just don't care about showing it. The problem wasn't them. It was Brian, his curated aesthetic, his obsession with polished appearances. He once said people's homes reveal their ambition. That comment rattled around in my head for weeks. Still, after nearly 2 years together, I finally relented. Okay, I told him one chilly October morning. You can meet them. This Sunday. He looked thrilled. Me. Not so much. When we drove up to my parents' street, he stared at the house like it personally wronged him. This is smaller than I expected. Inside, my mom served homemade iced tea in mismatched glasses. Brian tried to smile, but his expression flickered. My dad proudly gave him a tour of the vegetable garden, talking about saving on groceries. Brian nodded a little too quickly. During dinner, he poked at the 1970s floral plates with an expression I couldn't quite place somewhere between confusion and discomfort. When my mom stepped away, he whispered, "Do they always live like this?" I swallowed hard. They're happy. He didn't respond. By the time we got in the car to head home, his energy was off. He didn't say much, didn't play music, didn't hold my hand. I kept waiting for him to talk, but the air between us felt thick. 20 minutes into the drive, he said, "Can you pull over? I want to talk." I pulled into an empty coffee shop parking lot. Street lamps buzzed overhead, casting pale circles of light on the hood of my car. He turned toward me with an expression so serious it made my stomach twist. "Today was really eye-opening," he said. "About what I asked." "Your family," he answered. "Patrina, I don't think I can do this anymore." For a second, I honestly thought he meant the conversation. Then it sank in. "This relationship," I whispered. He exhaled like he pitied me. "I thought you came from more. I assumed your family had a certain level of stability, but your parents are basically living in poverty." I blinked stunned. "Brian, they aren't—" "Come on," he cut in. "Their house, their clothes, the furniture, and you're the same. Cooking at home, driving that old car, carrying a backpack that should have been thrown out years ago." "My choices don't make me poor," I said quietly. "They make you someone who grew up without much," he insisted. "And that's fine, but it's not the life I want. I need someone aligned with my future, someone who can help provide the lifestyle I envision for my family." A cold heaviness settled in my chest. "You're breaking up with me because my parents don't have granite countertops." "Don't be dramatic," he snapped lightly. "This is about long-term compatibility." He said it so calmly, so matter-of-factly, that it almost didn't feel real. "I can't marry into poverty," he finished softly. "I'm sorry." Then he got out of my car, called a rideshare, and left me sitting alone in the empty lot. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there staring at my hands, feeling something inside me quietly shatter. I drove home in silence, blocked his number, blocked everything, and curled up in bed, wondering how 2 years could end over mismatched glasses and my father's flannel shirt. I really believed that was the last time I'd ever hear from Brian. I had no idea what was coming next. I thought the worst part was over. Brian was gone. The breakup was clean, brutal, humiliating but clean. 2 years thrown away over a vegetable garden and a pair of mismatched glasses. I told myself that was enough closure for a lifetime. I blocked him everywhere and tried to move on. 3 quiet weeks passed. Then everything changed. My father's older brother passed away. It wasn't unexpected, he'd been sick for years, but it still hit me in a muted, unsettling way. He'd lived a simple life, even more frugal than my parents. No wife, no kids, no flashy hobbies. Just steady work as a mechanical engineer and smart decisions made decades before I was born. My father was executor of the estate. I didn't think much about it until I got a call from my dad one afternoon. "Patrina," he said gently, "your uncle left everything to me. But your mother and I talked." We want you to have half. I thought he was joking. Half turned out to be $4.2 million. Just like that overnight, I went from reasonably comfortable to almost financially unshakable. Not that I intended to spend any of it. Honestly, the number scared me. I just put it where my parents told me to. Investment savings, long-term plans. Let it grow quietly in the background. I didn't tell anyone, not a soul. Unfortunately, someone else did. A week later, the local paper published probate notices, small print legal announcements, nothing anyone really reads, except Brian's mother. She apparently devoured those sections like daily gossip columns. 3 days after the notice was printed, I got a text from an unknown number. Hey, it's me. I know you blocked me, but please, can we talk? I made a huge mistake. I stared at it long enough that my phone dimmed. Blocked. 2 hours later, another number. Patrina, I'm begging you. I miss you. Can we please meet for coffee? Blocked. Then he found another way. My work email pinged. I know you're hurt, but we had something real. 2 years means something. Your mom spoke with my mom. She said you're doing well. I want to make things right. I nearly dropped my mouse. My mom did what? I called her immediately. Mom, did you talk to Brian's mother? Oh, honey, she said, sounding confused. Yes. She called me asking about you. Said Brian was heartbroken and regretted the breakup. My stomach turned. What exactly did you say? That we were sorry things didn't work out, but you'd moved on. She paused. Was that wrong? No, Mom, it's fine. But it wasn't fine. Not even close. Because my well-meaning mother added something else. I told her we raised you to be independent, that you're doing well, that you'll be financially secure for life. I closed my eyes. Mom, did you tell her about the inheritance? I only mentioned your future was taken care of, she said gently. Is that bad? It wasn't her fault. She didn't know she had handed dynamite to a woman who lived for drama. The texts kept coming. I know about your inheritance. That doesn't change how I feel. I've been doing a lot of thinking. We can fix this. I love you. Love. Amazing how that word appeared only after 4.2 million did. I ignored all of it, deleted everything, blocked every number. Then came the knock. 10 minutes straight of buzzing on my apartment door. My neighbor finally threatened to call management. I went downstairs thinking it was a delivery issue. It wasn't. Brian stood in the lobby, eyes, red hair, a little messy, breathing unevenly. He looked like someone who hadn't slept properly in days. Patrina, he said the moment he saw me. Thank you for coming down. Please just give me a minute. Make it quick. I've been trying to reach you. I know I messed up. I judged your family unfairly. I judged you unfairly. I was stressed and panicked and said things I didn't mean. I'm sorry. He was crying, actually crying. I felt nothing. You dumped me in a parking lot, I said, because you thought my parents were poor. His voice cracked. I know how it sounds. It sounds exactly how it was. He took a shaky step closer. We can fix this. We can talk. We can start over. I want to apologize to your parents, too. Your mom was so kind on the phone. My mom doesn't want your apology. He flinched like I slapped him. Patrina, I'm begging you. Just one dinner, one conversation. Let me prove I'm serious. No. Why not? Because you're not sorry you judged me, I said quietly. You're sorry you judged wrong. His tears stopped instantly. His face hardened. That's not fair, he said coldly. You lied to me. You pretended your family had nothing. I never pretended anything. You made assumptions. You hid it, he snapped. I lived my life, I answered. That's not hiding. He stepped back, jaw tightening. You're going to regret this. No, I said softly. I won't. I'm serious, Patrina. You're not that special. There are plenty of women who would treat me better. Then go find one. His eyes flickered with humiliation, anger, something darker. He turned on his heel and stormed out of the building. I went back to my apartment locked. The door leaned against it and exhaled shakily. The worst was over, or so I thought. I honestly believed Brian's meltdown in the lobby was the end of it. He'd cried, begged, snapped, threatened, and stormed out all within 10 minutes. It felt final. Ugly, but final. I underestimated just how deeply embarrassment can twist into obsession. The first sign was the sudden flood of messages from mutual friends. Most of them were originally his friends, people I got to know over the 2 years we were together, so I wasn't surprised they reached out. But the tone, that surprised me. Hey, Patrina, I heard you and Brian broke up. He's really torn up about it. Maybe you should talk to him. Don't you think you're being a little harsh? Everyone makes mistakes. You know he's sorry, right? You two were good together. I answered only the ones who seemed genuinely concerned. I appreciate you checking in, but I'm not discussing this. Most didn't take the hint. Then came the social media weirdness. I rarely post, but I keep my account active to stay in touch with people. Suddenly, I got follow requests from 3 brand new accounts. No photos, no info, nothing but blank profiles. All created in the last hour. Blocked. 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 A day later, Brian's best friend, who had never liked me, called. That alone was bizarre. Look, she started without hello. I know you two broke up, but you need to be reasonable. I don't need to be anything, I said, setting my jaw. He made one mistake. She corrected herself quickly. One. And you're throwing away 2 years over it. He dumped me, I said calmly, in a parking lot, because he didn't like my parents' house. He was overwhelmed, she snapped. Meeting parents is stressful. Then he should have said he was stressed, not called my family poor. Oh, please. You aren't a victim here. You clearly hid your family's wealth on purpose. That's manipulative. There it was. The new narrative. I didn't hide anything, I said. I lived normally. Whatever she said. Point is, Brian is willing to forgive you for being shady about it. That's actually really big of him. The least you can do is hear him out. I laughed softly. Pass. You're making a mistake, she warned. He's a catch. You're not exactly drowning in options. Thanks for the input, I said. Don't call again. I hung up and blocked her too. But the escalation didn't stop there. 2 days later, my mother called, sounding uneasy. Honey, I got the strangest call today. My stomach dropped. From who? Brian's mother. I closed my eyes, of course. She apologized for his behavior, my mom continued. Said they raised him better. Then she started asking questions about our family, about you, about your prospects. Prospects, the word felt slimy. What did you say? That you were doing well and we were proud of you. I rubbed my forehead. Mom, then what? She asked if we could speak to you on her son's behalf, encourage you to give him another chance. She said young people throw away relationships too easily. And what did you say? I asked carefully. That you're an adult who makes her own choices and we support you. I let out a shaky breath. Thank you. But then my mom added, voice dropping. She mentioned something about the inheritance. How does she even know? Probate notices, I muttered. Her mother reads them. My mom sighed. Petrina, you don't think... Oh, I do, I said flatly. That was the moment something inside me shifted. Annoyance turned into awareness. This wasn't a heartbreak anymore. It was becoming a pattern. And it was about to get worse. On Friday afternoon, I was called into HR. The walk down that hallway felt like a slow-motion nightmare. I couldn't think of anything I'd done wrong. When my HR rep gently motioned for me to sit, my legs felt numb. We received a call this morning, she said softly, from someone claiming to be your former domestic partner. My stomach clenched. She said she was deeply concerned about your mental state, that you'd suffered a recent loss in the family, inherited a large sum of money, and were making erratic, irrational financial decisions. She said she couldn't reach you and feared you were isolating yourself. My jaw fell open. She what? We informed her that we cannot share employee information, the HR rep continued, but we wanted you to be aware of the call in case further contact occurs. I felt sick. She isn't concerned about my mental health, I said. She's trying to manipulate her way back into my life. The HR rep nodded gravely. That was also our impression. When I left the office, my hands were still shaking. That evening, taped to my apartment door, I found a large manila envelope. Inside were printed screenshots of old texts, photos of us together, a 3-page handwritten letter, a list titled Reasons We Belong Together, some highlights. We have the same sense of humor. We love trying new restaurants. Our families get along. We want the same things. We're financially compatible, obviously. You love me and I love you. The word obviously nearly made me laugh out loud. I documented everything, dates, times, photos, then threw it all out. Then came the next escalation. Sunday morning, 8 a.m. The doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. Brian stood there holding a cardboard box. I didn't answer. I watched silently as he waited. Rang again, waited, knocked, waited, then left the box at my door and walked away. Inside were a few hoodies, a charger, a book, a framed photo of us, and a jewelry store receipt dated 4 days ago. He'd bought a $300 men's watch. The implication was obvious. Look, I spent money on you. Take me back. I dropped the clothes at a donation center, trashed the photo, tossed the receipt, and shoved the keychain into a drawer. I didn't feel scared yet, just exhausted. But the exhaustion wouldn't last long, because Monday evening when I came home from work, Brian was sitting in the lobby, waiting, like he lived there. Petrina, he said, as if we were picking up a conversation from yesterday. We should talk. No, I said. It's a lobby, he said lightly. Public space. For residents and guests, I replied. You're neither. He smiled a strange, unsettling smile. We can fix this. We don't have a relationship anymore. You ended it too fast. You didn't give me a chance. You ended it, I reminded him. I accepted it. His expression wavered, desperation bleeding through. I miss you. I miss us. Haven't you ever made a mistake? Not one like this. He stepped closer. It counts as effort. I'm trying. It counts as harassment, I said quietly. His face cracked. Harassment. I'm trying to save what we had. We had something, I said. You ended it. Let it stay ended. Because of money, he snapped. You're punishing me because I misjudged something. You judged my entire family. I apologized. No, Brian. You apologized because you realized you were wrong about the money. His jaw clenched. You're going to regret this. No, I said, I'm not. He stormed out again, breathing hard. I stood there silently until the door closed behind him. That night, I wrote to building management and formally requested he be put on a no trespass list. They agreed immediately. I thought that would be the end of him. But Brian wasn't done yet. I kept telling myself things would calm down once the no trespass order went through. Brian wasn't allowed inside the building anymore. Management assured me they would notify security. I even slept a little easier that night, thinking maybe, just maybe, he'd finally get the message. He didn't. Instead, he changed tactics. The next Saturday morning, I walked into my usual coffee shop, the same one I'd been going to every weekend for 3 years. The barista waved, I ordered my drink, and as I turned toward the seating area, I froze. Brian was already there, sitting at a corner table, reading a magazine, like he just happened to be there. He looked up, plastering on surprise. Oh my God, he said softly. Petrina. Wow. Crazy running into you here. My skin crawled. This is my neighborhood, I said flatly. I was just in the area, he lied effortlessly. Thought I'd grab a drink. I walked out without even taking my order. The next day, I bumped into him again, this time at the grocery store 3 blocks from my apartment. He was pushing an empty cart, pretending to browse cereal. Hey, wow, twice in one weekend, he said like it was fate. I didn't even slow down. The third time was at the park near my place. I was on my typical walking route when he appeared from behind a tree line, pretending to be on a jog. Oh my God, Petrina, he laughed breathlessly. This is insane. No, it wasn't insane. It was calculated. After that, I changed my routines, different stores, different coffee shop, different gym times. It helped, but the feeling of being watched lingered. He wasn't done with me, not even close. A few days later, people started messaging me screenshots of his new social media posts. He was vague, posting things like, some people don't know how to appreciate what they have. Imagine choosing money over love. Dodged a bullet. Dozens of his friends commented, with fire emojis, broken hearts, arms around shoulders, encouragement. None of them asked what really happened. I didn't respond. I didn't even look twice. But then one message stood out. My best friend Mallory texted me, "Are you okay? His posts are getting worse." I typed, "Please stop looking at his page. Don't send me anything unless it's an actual threat." Before she could reply, I got another notification in my email. A long message from Brian. It started as an apology, then shifted into a dramatic monologue about how much he missed me. Then came paragraphs of childhood trauma, how seeing my parents' house triggered deep fears about stability, how he'd been reflecting in therapy. He wrote that his therapist believed we needed closure together, as if any therapist had ever said that without my consent. I deleted the entire thing. 2 days later, another escalation. A mutual friend, one of the few I actually liked, called me sounding awkward. Hey, Petrina, look, Brian asked me to talk to you. No, I said immediately. He said you weren't answering anything and that he just wants closure. He wants me back, I corrected. Yeah, I figured, he admitted. But he's telling everyone you're being unreasonable, that he apologized and you're ignoring him. Let them believe whatever they want, I said. I'm not setting myself on fire to keep his reputation warm. There was a pause. I just wanted you to know what's being said. Thanks, I appreciate it. But I could feel something tightening around me. Like every avenue of my life had become a walkway for him to reach me again. My mom called later that evening. Petrina, she said slowly. His mother called again. I closed my eyes. What now? She said, we're doing you a disservice by not encouraging reconciliation. She said her son is a catch, and you shouldn't be so quick to discard him. I actually laughed. A sharp, humorless sound. What did you say? I asked. That we support whatever decision makes you happy, my mom said. She didn't like that answer. Good. But the worst blow came not from friends, not from his mother, not from email. It came at a mutual friend's birthday party. I considered not going. I knew Brian might be there, but I refused to let him chase me out of my own social circles. I showed up wearing a simple dress, hair down, makeup, clean and steady. I told myself I would enjoy the evening stay an hour or two, then leave quietly. I barely stepped inside before he spotted me. He made a straight line across the room. Petrina, he breathed like he was greeting a long-lost lover. We need to talk. Outside. No. His jaw tightened. Just 5 minutes. No. You can't avoid me forever. I'm not avoiding you. I'm choosing not to engage. He grabbed my arm. Not harshly, but enough. I immediately pulled back. Don't touch me. People were watching now. A few murmurs. Brian glanced around embarrassed, then forced a soft smile. Babe, please. Do not call me that. The birthday boy walked over, eyebrows raised. Hey, everything okay here? Yeah, we're good, Brian said quickly. No, I said clearly. He's harassing me. I've asked him multiple times to stop. The room went still. Brian's face flushed deep red. Harassing, I'm trying to have a conversation. A conversation requires two willing people, I said. This is ridiculous. All I want is closure. You got closure in a parking lot. That was a mistake. And not giving you a second chance is my choice. You're being petty, he snapped. The birthday host stepped between us. Brian, I think you should head out. Let her enjoy the party. You're taking her side, seriously. I'm not taking sides, the host said calmly. I'm asking you to leave her alone at my birthday. Brian looked around, realizing every pair of eyes was on him, some judging, some confused, some pitying. Then he stormed out. Again. The rest of the night felt heavy and awkward. People whispered. I stayed another hour before slipping out quietly. The next day my phone buzzed. A text from Brian. You humiliated me in front of everyone. That was cruel and unnecessary. I was trying to be mature and you turned it into a scene. Everyone thinks you're crazy now. Hope you're happy. Block. I finally blocked the last remaining number he had access to. I should have done it weeks earlier. But part of me wanted the record. Because people like him don't disappear. They escalate. And deep down I knew this wasn't over. After the birthday party disaster, I told myself Brian would finally give up. He had embarrassed himself in front of our entire friend group. He'd been asked to leave. I'd refused every attempt at a second chance. Surely even he had limits. But obsession doesn't end with humiliation. It ends with exhaustion or escalation. For the next 2 weeks, Brian kept popping up in the worst ways. Not at my building, he couldn't thanks to the no trespass order, but everywhere else. I switched coffee shops, grocery stores, walking routes. I adjusted my schedule, took different buses, tried not to fall into predictable patterns. Yet he still managed to appear at the edges of my routine like a shadow with a memory. Twice I caught him across the street from my office building. Once I saw him pretending to tie his shoes at the end of my block. Another time he sat on a bench near the park where I used to walk. He always looked surprised, always forced a smile, always said the same nauseating line, "Wow, crazy running into you." No, it wasn't crazy. It was practiced. It was stalking. He didn't touch me. He didn't shout. He didn't break rules he could get arrested for. He hovered. He lingered. He waited. I kept documenting everything, dates, times, screenshots, photos from across the street. I didn't want a restraining order, but I needed to be ready if things shifted. And they were shifting. Social media pressure ramped up again. Brian posted more vague, emotional essays. I hope some people find what they lost. Not everyone can handle real love. Some women care more about money than loyalty. His friends commented with sympathy. Some mutual friends messaged me privately. Clearly confused, trying to piece together two sides of a story I refused to explain. Do you want us to talk to him? Should we tell him to back off? Is everything okay between you two? I answered none of them. Silence became my safest response. Then came the email, again. Not a short message this time, an essay. Longer than the last one. Pages of pouring out his heart, paragraphs of childhood trauma and abandonment issues. Detailed explanations about why he panicked at my parents' house, how it triggered fears from his upbringing, how his therapist insisted communication between us was essential. The manipulation was almost elegant. Half heartfelt, half guilt, half strategy. I deleted it. 2 days later, a new angle emerged. Brian's mother called my mom, again. This time my mother was not patient. She said, "You're being stubborn," Mom told me softly. She said her son is a good man and you're too proud to forgive him. She told me you should feel lucky he wants to talk again. I snorted. Lucky. She also insinuated that you're making a mistake, my mother continued, voice tightening. She said you will regret losing someone of his caliber. Her words. And what did you say, I asked? That my daughter is safer without someone who harasses her. I smiled. Thank you. But in private, I felt a slow, simmering frustration. It wasn't just Brian. His entire family acted like I owed him my time, my safety, my peace. Then came the final tipping point. Another mutual friend was having a birthday party. Different friend, different group, but Brian might be there. I debated skipping it again, but I couldn't keep arranging my life around him, so I went. I regretted it immediately. He was there, and he saw me the second I walked in. He walked straight toward me, something urgent and demanding in his eyes. Patrina, he said, voice tight, we're talking. Now, outside. No, you can't keep avoiding me. I'm not avoiding you. I'm refusing to participate. You're not even giving me a chance to apologize properly. You've apologized 100 times. None of it means anything. He grabbed my arm again, harder this time. I pulled away instantly. Don't touch me. Eyes snapped toward us again. Conversations paused. The music seemed to dim. The host, a different friend than last time, stepped between us. Hey, what's going on here? Brian kept his glare locked on me. She's blowing everything out of proportion. All I want is 5 minutes. You don't get 5 minutes, I said. You get none. Stop being dramatic, he hissed. The host raised a hand. Brian, maybe you should cool off. You're taking her side too, he said, voice rising. I'm asking you to leave her alone, the host answered firmly. This is my party. Don't make a scene. Brian looked around, really looked, and saw the growing circle of people watching. He saw judgment, confusion, pity, annoyance, and something in him broke. You know what he spat? Fine. Be alone. Be miserable. You're not worth this effort. None of this. You're cold. You're selfish. You're done, I said sharply. He jerked his head back, caught off guard by my calmness. We're done, I repeated. Forever. He opened his mouth to speak again, but the host stepped closer, firm and unyielding. Brian, leave. For the first time ever, Brian listened to another person telling him no. He left. He stormed out the front door, slamming it behind him. The room filled with an awkward hush. A few friends approached me, asking if I was okay, offering water, a quiet place to sit. I thanked them, but stayed for only 30 more minutes before heading home. The next morning, I woke to one final message from him. One last attempt to hurt me. You humiliated me in front of everyone. That was cruel. You created a scene. Everyone thinks you're unhinged now. Hope you're happy. Block, block, block. All numbers, all emails, all avenues. I blocked him completely. And finally, silence. Not the uneasy silence of waiting, but the true silence of someone who finally realizes they have lost their power. For the first time in weeks, I felt my lungs expand fully. I felt my shoulders relax. I felt space open up around me again. Brian was gone. For real this time. It was over. The quiet after Brian finally vanished felt unreal at first. Like my life had been a storm for so long that silence itself seemed suspicious. A trick, something waiting to erupt. For the first week, I kept checking the corners of my routine, my coffee shop, the grocery store aisles, the lobby cameras in my building, half expecting to see him appear with that strained, desperate smile. But he didn't. The no trespass order held. The messages stopped. The sightings ended. It was as if he had evaporated from my world overnight. The strangest part wasn't the relief. It was the emptiness that followed. For weeks, my mind had been in a constant state of alert, tight-coiled, scanning every face and shadow. When the pressure finally snapped, I didn't feel victorious. I felt drained, like someone who had run a marathon on adrenaline alone and only realized afterward that their legs were shaking. But the silence gave me something I didn't realize I needed. Room. Room to breathe. Room to think. Room to rebuild. My parents were the first people I visited. When I pulled into their driveway, the same cracked pavement Brian once judged, I didn't feel embarrassment. I felt comfort. I felt home. My mother hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe. You look tired, she whispered into my hair. I am, I admitted. My father walked out onto the porch squinting at me the way he always did when he was worried. Let's make tea, he said, as if tea could cure heartbreak and stalking and months of manipulation. But in its own way it did. We sat around the same worn kitchen table, the one with faint knife scratches and uneven legs. The mismatched glasses were on the counter. My dad's old flannel shirt hung on the back of a chair. None of it embarrassed me. None of it ever had. I just finally understood how deeply Brian's words had poisoned things and how badly he'd wanted me to believe them. I'm sorry you went through all of that, my dad said quietly. I shrugged. I let myself ignore the signs. You trusted someone, my mom corrected. That's not a mistake. That's who you are. I didn't cry until later that night, alone in my childhood bedroom. Not because I missed Brian. I didn't. I cried because I had spent so long defending myself, bracing myself, forcing myself to appear unbothered, unbreakable, unshaken. But I had been shaken, deeply. When I returned to the city, I started putting my life back together piece by piece. The inheritance remained untouched, exactly where my parents told me to keep it. For the first time in my life, I didn't feel fear when thinking about money. I felt stability, opportunity, something grounded. And then I did something I never thought I'd do so soon. I bought a house. Not a mansion, not a designer home, not anything flashy or curated for Instagram. Just a solid little place with a welcoming front porch and old trees lining the yard. A home with hardwood floors, a fireplace, and enough sunlight that the mornings felt warm even in winter. My father walked through the rooms with me when the sale finally closed. He touched the walls, nodded approvingly, and said his signature line, "Good bones. This place has good bones, Petrina." My mother cried. Not loud sobs, just soft, overwhelmed tears as she ran her hand over the kitchen counter like it was a blessing she never asked for. "I'm proud of you," she whispered. "Not because you bought a house, but because you didn't let someone else define your worth." I didn't realize how much I needed to hear that until she said it. Work improved too. Not dramatically, not overnight, but gradually. My focus sharpened. I wasn't walking around in a haze anymore. I contributed more, spoke up, more took on a difficult project that earned me a promotion faster than I expected. For the first time in months, maybe even years, I felt like myself again. As for dating, I didn't rush, didn't swipe, didn't flirt, didn't force anything. I wasn't ready, not because of fear, but because I finally understood something important. I wanted a relationship built differently, built on character, not image, on values, not aesthetics, on quiet steadiness, not shiny performances, on kindness, not pretense. Brian had taught me something valuable, something painful but necessary. When someone shows you what they value, believe them immediately. He showed me in a parking lot. I didn't want to believe it then. I believe it now. And now I know what I value. Someone who doesn't flinch at mismatched glasses. Someone who knows wealth is measured in character, not countertops. Someone who doesn't need perfection to love me. Someone who chooses me without conditions. I don't know who that person is yet. I don't know when he'll show up. I don't even know if he's anywhere in my orbit right now. But I do know one thing. When I'm ready, I'll meet someone who will never look at my family and see poverty. He'll see roots. He'll see history. He'll see love. He'll see me. And this time I'll choose someone who deserves the version of me that finally learned how to stand firm, walk away, and rebuild without looking back. Brian wanted a woman who'd mold